And now a revered Guru begins this evening program with a Sanskrit prayer.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
And now we ask Nandana Devi to continue the program with one of her original songs.
Some things I fear, some break me down in tears, sometimes I cry, why, oh why, oh why, but in the silent stillness inside me, there arises a curiosity, and I wonder, what is my true identity? As I surrender to this wonder, I am free. I am that I am, Tatvamasi. I am that I am, Tatvamasi. There is one presence, one power, one essence, no other. One presence, one power, one essence, no other. One. Aham Brahma Asmi, no other one. Aham Brahmasmi. This time it's real. No matter what I feel, I won't deny. When I ask, who am I? I am that I am, Tatvamasi. I am that I am, Tatvamasi. There is one presence, one power, one essence, no other. One presence, one power, one essence, no other. One. Aham Brahmasmi, no other one. Aham Brahmasmi.
We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is June the 24th, 2018, Sunday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is series 2018, class number 6. And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanura Mardanam Devki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, verse number 29. Lord Krishna has commenced his teachings. Arjuna was gripped by moha, lot of deluded concept. And now, all that we have handled before. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyah, ascharyavat chena manyah shinoti, shinvatyepyena pyenam veda nachaiva kaschit. Some behold the self as wonder, and still they wander. Some talk about him with wonder. Others hear about him with wonder. And having heard about him, none are able to comprehend him. They continue to wander. The Sanskrit word is ashcharya, wonder. It also implies surprise. And it is a very important factor in the progress in any level of your personality. Your mind has to become surprised by a perspective. Not shocking too much, just surprise. Led by your surprise, you develop curiosity. Cat becomes your guru. I'm joking. That cat has many lives. Let me give you profounder meaning behind Ashcharya. If it is real, sattvic, it leads you to brahmacharya. Here I am using brahmacharya term not as ordinary discipline of sex control and celibacy, or not in that level. That level is perfectly okay in its own way. Brahmacharya is the whole sadhana movement to God is called brahmacharya. The whole conduct of your personality flowing towards Brahman. That was the type of vrata Bhishma had. And what leads to brahmacharya is ashcharya. You develop a sense of exploring the mystery of the world. And as you explore, eyes become brighter, bigger and bigger. Don't take it literally. Big eyes will make you look terrible. For general masses in India, in Hindi, it is acharaj. Acharaj is a blend of two words, achaman and raj, removal. Raj is think of yourself coming with face full of dust. Your mother doesn't recognize it. But as you go on washing your face, she recognizes it. Acharaj. Emerging out of rajas. That's why Achaman is the most important ritual in Hindu Dharma. The moment you enter the house, charanam, wash your feet. Also do Achaman. Put a little drop in your face, wash your face. Now coming to more serious way to understand. Every soul pursues Satchidananda. Satchidananda is the instinctive urge in every individual. That is to say, Sat wants to exist. Whatever you think yourself to be, in the early stage you think yourself as a body. And so you want to exist as your body, but that's not truth. But in the beginning you don't have all the reality about your instinct. All that is, you want to exist. Everyone, all souls, all jivas, they want to exist. Sat. Next point, everyone is curious. All the knowledge you have already collected, so much is not of such effect. You find a new little word, it tickles your brain. Always eager to know more and more and more. Pointing to your urge is to have infinite knowledge. And that is described as chit, pure awareness. Understand think of the sun as a pure knowledge. Think of all the illuminations. They catch up your imagination. You want to see the sun rise in Chicago, rise in Miami, rise in Australia. I'm just joking, but try to understand. You are after so many illuminations. But the reality behind all that is the sun. You are after so many experiences of the world, but the reality is consciousness, Chaitanya. And you want to have a full realization, I am that. And then the third aspect of urge is ananda. Everyone wants to be happy. It's a birthright. Satchit Ananda is veiled by mental restriction. Mind has three impurities: mala, vikshepa, avarana. Gross impurity, vasana-related impurity that creates distractions, and avidya-related impurity that veils the knowledge. Therefore, coming back to the topic, Ashcharya. As you go on removing the veil, names and forms that cover Satchidananda. Names and forms are your mental projections. And Satchidananda becomes veiled. But that's a predicament in every soul. If mind were to become enlightened, then there is a revelation. Satchidananda alone is. Until that stage has been reached, your mind goes through a whole process. Each illusion, layer illusion breaks. Ashcharya. Acharaj. Now, coming to more details. Unable to follow the right course. Right course you follow when you have vivek, vairagya and all those qualities that make you deserve enlightenment. If you don't have that, you are simply blindly following your instinct. And 3 points open before you. Putreshana, Vitteshana, Lokeshana. You live your life, come to a stage of enjoying thrill. Don't take it very literally, all that is perfectly normal. You enter Grihastha ashram. Now you receive babies and you have been eager to get every gesture of the baby, how cute. This is a description, there's nothing. This is the way everyone grows. So that's called Putreshana. Every family has lots of mental energy grabbed by Putra and Putri. Both are the same thing. Sons and daughters. And their well-being that goes on keeping the mind very busy. And it's perfectly divine order if that movement becomes positive, if you go on helping each other to bring out your innate divinity, then the relationship is the ideal. But if you go on bringing out moha, deluded expectation, if you are sick, you don't want your son to be healthy. He should be near you. That's deluded. A relationship which does not help each other to grow, but to restrict each other. I'm quickly saying it, but that's a subtle psychology that operates. And in everyone has to get out of that illusion. Recognize the illusion and go on breaking it. Same relationship, when you don't have illusion, relationship becomes the best. It becomes Rama and Sita. So that's called Putreshana. Next, Vitteshana. In order to keep up the practical reality, you want wealth. The more wealth you have, the more considered you are very successful. And third point, location. You must go viral. You must be recognized. You must have fame. And your fame should move on after your death. Every road tells your name. So, to worldly mind, Ashcharya comes in these three lines, three processes. As you see your children, progeny advancing, Ashcharya. You never expected. You see wealth coming, Ashcharya. And see yourself being praised by others, how charitable you are, how gracious you are, how elegant you are. All that ashana can be perfectly sattvic, leading you closer and closer to God. But that will require switching your movement under the guidance of spiritual preceptor, or being aligned to a process that allows you to assimilate spiritual teachings. All this can be interpreted from many angles. Everyone sees suffering before their eyes. And Buddha sees an old man, crunched, struggling, and he is in tremendous type of ashcharya. Wow. And his driver tells him that this is normal. Everyone who is born hunches down, becomes old. And his mind handles it with a tremendous shock, a shocking surprise. If you have a body identity, shocking surprise, your hair will turn grey. Your wonderful teeth will begin to shake. And so forth. I don't have to describe it. Turn your attention to the profounder level. Though you are just a human being, you have the capacity, spiritual potentiality, shraddha, faith, that can move mountains. You have all the resources that can make you a dynamic yogi. And even if you keep quiet, your silence will do more than eloquent lectures. All this is called surprise, wonder. How can a person staying in one place touch the heart of so many people without having cell phones and things of that nature? What did Christ do? What did Buddha do? That his popularity goes on increasing. A surprise. And a greater surprise, there's potentiality lies in each of you. Ashcharya. Many people come together in satsang. They listen to talks on wisdom, jnana and bhakti. To some, words, all the words came from one ear and it went to the other. And you come out and say, he was speaking good, but his English was not perfect. Another one says, I have never been so benefited to open my eyes. I can never go back now. So he opened the door. It's Ashcharya. So that's called Ashcharya, what different type of wonder, sense of wonder, expresses through different minds based on their karmas. And again, one thing that is most spicy to human life is experience of surprise. Things that you didn't know before, and you suddenly see it. And that keeps up with the entertainment of mass mentality. But that entertainment becomes meaningless if you don't have purpose behind it. Just to give you some ideas. For example, same food you eat, someone shows you a different recipe. You look at it, surprise. It's wonder. I'm just giving simple points, and you can understand the whole world before you. Opens up to lot of surprises. How people wear their clothes. Surprise. And what I'm leading to more educated surprise. As you receive education, not spiritual, academic type, look at the same sky and you recognize a particular star. And you begin to tell with great eyes shining like that, this star will not shine ever until 50 years later. Surprise. And it gives the whole history about it. And that particular star that is shining is not there in the sky. It died long ago. But the light is coming. Now it explains why it became so late. Surprise. And you don't have to go far and wide for surprises. How does your nail grow? Without your knowing it. Surprise. How does your heart, just a small little organ within yourself, keeps up beating? All through your life. And how does your brain go on handling millions and trillions of information? The Google becomes nothing compared to your brain. Surprise. And come to more serious way, that you have 3 bodies, you didn't know that. You have 5 sheaths. Body-wise, body decays, sharir. Body is called de, dahiyate. So ultimately, it becomes disintegrated, burns up. And still you survive because you are not the body. Body is your clothing. That's Acharya. And put into a still higher level, if you are doing sadhana, in the beginning stage your mind has so many limited concepts. How many karmas have I done? How long it will take the karmas to be cleared up? How much challenge you have? All that. But as you involve yourself with self-effort and with your japa, devotional movement, your self-effort blends with grace. Then you become amazed. Things you never imagined to encounter in your life encounters them. This type of thing has been dramatized in the scriptures. Hanuman goes to look for Sita. As he begins to cross the ocean, Surasa stands before him, a divine spirit with big jaws, open mouth. And Hanuman looks, it appears like a great wonder, such big. Says, I'm hungry and I'm so delighted to see food coming into my mouth, get into my mouth quick. Hanuman says, Mother, let me do my job, then I will come and get into your mouth. Sursa says, no way. I will not let such delicious food get away from my mouth. Now, what happens? Wonder after wonder. She opens her jaw to a certain circle, certain type of dimension. Hanuman outgrows his body. Hanuman becomes double the size. She goes on doing that. Now it is left to you to imagine how many times. The whole life is like that. Until there comes a stage, the dimension of her mouth has become so vast. Immediately Hanuman becomes a little small size, jumps into her mouth, plays tumbles on the tongue, head stand, shoulder stand, and so forth. Tickles the teeth. Sings a song or two. I'm building it. He emerges out. Says, Mother, that's what you wanted, to get into your mouth, and I did. Sursa immediately turns into a divine personality, a Devi. Says, God sent me to test your strength, and you have passed the examination. And that applies to every individual. Every challenging situation is Sursa's jaws. How will you handle it? Become bigger than that problem. Problem is problematic. It's not a real problem. How to grow it implies that you are not the body, you are not limited. You have spirit behind you. That source that has handled and shaped your body, that divine hand will handle the problems that you are now afraid of. But that doesn't mean that you should not do self-effort. Self-effort is a part of that divine source that is inspiring to use your hands, use your feet, use your brain. But while you use all this, a greater marvel awaits you. That's going beyond your imagination. Things that you cannot imagine, how future shapes itself. This is called wonder. And putting that spirit of wonder in the positive way, allow your heart to be tickled in a joyous way when you look at nature. Don't say to yourself, oh, that's the same old thing. Birds have been singing, oh, I've heard that million times. No, look at it with wonder. Consider the lilies of the field. How do they grow? See what beauty lies in every little flower. What grace lies in every little animal. The whole world. And what mystery lies in every atom. How much can you be sensitive? That depends. But allow your senses and whatever perceptions you get to become a source of inner inspiration. That becomes a higher attainment in sadhana. You don't go on looking at the world and becoming buried under worry after worry. Look at this. But how long can it stay? Look at the sky, it's clear, but tomorrow clouds are coming. Okay. 30th verse. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. Oh, Bharata, that's Arjuna. The eternal self that dwells in the bodies of all human beings cannot be slain. Therefore, you should not grieve for any living being. You are being given simple insight into all those who are living. When you look at the world, there are two categories. Living souls, jivas, inert matter, jada chetan. That's the jagat, the two ingredients behind the whole world process. Jada, all inert. The inert ones don't have the awareness of developing me and mine and all that, and being aware of sensations and perceptions. Inert ones are like rocks. You don't sit down before a rock, say how cute you are. How long will you take to get liberated? But you sit before a parrot and you say, how cute you are. And you are a soul, you will become liberated. The difference is Jada and Chetan. And that blend is there in every human being. The moment the Chetan soul moves away from your body, the body becomes Jada. Totally different. That body has nothing to do with you. So keeping this broad division of Jada and Chetan, the soul within you is the eternal soul. That soul cannot be destroyed. The reflected sun in a jar, in its status, it will not stay in the jar constantly. But it may vanish from the jar. But if you say it is destroyed, that's not possible, because it relates to the sun. As long as the sun is there, as long means here allegorically, it's eternal sun. That sense, I am that eternal, immortal soul. First stage, as a soul, I cannot be affected by the world. Even if you die, you are going to be reborn, given another, just like clothes. You go on changing clothes, old cloth, or out-fashioned cloth. You throw that away. Put on new one. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya, the teaching is coming. Therefore, deep down, do not go on developing constant fear and anxiety and sorrow, but understand you are living in the arms of God. So first your focus is the soul cannot be killed. Later, as you advance, your soul is not a limited entity. The soul is actually Brahman, the Absolute. Reflected sun is in reality the sun. And it has been the sun all the time. The mind has been interpreting that in a limited way. So, simple truth, the body is mortal. When you say body, all the physical body, subtle body which expresses your sentiments and feelings, and still subtler body at the intellect level. Three bodies, three stages are highlighted in scriptures. The sannyasins use three terms, bhu sanyastamaya, the world of practical reality. Bhuvaha sanyastamaya, the world based upon your limited sentiments. Swaha sanyastamaya, the world that you can envision through your intellect and understanding. All these three are transcended. They are not meaningless. You pass through these. But the goal is not anywhere in these three planes. Sun expresses through the clouds, expresses through rainbows, expresses through many reflections. But the sun is not confined to all these. So when you want to be the sun, bhu sanyastam maya, all reflections out. You don't want to be rainbows. You don't want to be shimmering clouds. Out. I'm the sun. And that's the predicament of all souls. Therefore, you should not grieve for any living being. Learn lessons from every living being. The good examples a living being has given, follow them, be inspired by them. The negative things that the living being has done, don't follow them. But don't grieve that the person was so happy and now gone. He was just going to enjoy a lot of lottery. And he passed away. From practical point of view, if you don't do that, that also is bad. First point, you must have a heart. Second point, it should not be a slippery heart. While your heart feels the pain and sorrow created by passing away, now your heart also invokes God and see all this problem handled by Him. And then you smile. These are profound points in religion, spirituality, and that has to be assimilated. And the great teaching, natvam shochitum arhasi, do not grieve. Ashochya nanu ashochastvam. See, all the essence of all scriptures, all your mind wasting its energy over meaningless anxiety. Understand that point. But it's not one-step movement. That's a whole your life planned for it. And when you understand it, you don't go back on it. When you wake up from your dream, you don't go back into your dream. What did I leave undone? So quick I got up from the dream. I did put myself in order. So that message, grief should be always put into a level of brief. That's the mantra for a successful life. It will come with greater and greater intensity. Challenges come always. If you climb a little mountain, bigger challenge, climb a bigger mountain. But to enjoy increasing strength. Similarly, all grievous situations come like clouds. And you go on shining like the moon emerging out of the cloud. but a special type of moon that goes on shining brighter and brighter. That's the mantra behind being free from grief. And keeping your energy involved in yoga, seva karya, good actions, being good, doing good, keeping your mind free from building castles for the demons to live in. And always remember, you cannot be slain, you cannot be destroyed. Nothing in the world can even scratch you. जाको राखे साइयां मार न सके हैं कोई, बाल न बांका कर सके जो जग वैरी होए. If you begin to understand you are supported by God, you are a ray of God, then understand the entire world with all negative things around, they can't touch you. All the clouds can come with all their anger and terror, they cannot make a scratch in the sky. Just assimilate that. स्वधर्मपि चावेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याधियुद्धाश्रेयात् यो न्यत् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते. Having understood this to be your swadharma, you should not waver. There is nothing more blessed for a kshatriya than a righteous war. This again gives big confusion because Gita has used the term battle and used the whole scenery of armies coming together. That's the coconut shell. In every worship, coconut shell is used. But in order to eat the savory aspect of it, you have to break it. You have to break that simile, which is so harsh and crude, to understand the subtler meaning. It has nothing to do with the horrible army and people being killed. It's all internal movement. And life is a battle. And you must develop the spirit of soldier. But don't use these words are giving you very crude. The word yuddha, yuth term is same as yoga, yuth unite. Dha dharma. Yoga in its dynamic aspect is yuddha. Be united with your dharma. If you are a bird, be united with your dharma of flying. Don't stay stuck to the egg. That's yuddha. And if you are, another point, if your soul is really moving to recover its real health, become a kshatriya. Kshatriya, people translate it as So warrior class. There are class divisions, Vaishya, Shudra, Kshatriya, Brahmana. But all those distinctions are very different. They are kindergarten level. All souls are Kshatriyas. No Brahmanas, no Vaishyas, no Shudras. And why? Short term is putting an umbrella. Chata comes from that umbrella, chata, chatra. The very word umbrella, chatra, is protecting you from all calamities. The real chatra is that which protects you from three calamities. Adhyatmic, subjective. Adhibhautik, things that come from the world. Adhidavik, acts of God. Everyone has all these, subject to all this, the threefold miseries. And chatra is a symbolic act. It's just protecting you from rain, but it is symbolic of protecting you from all calamities. So if you have mantra in your heart, you have a chatra. And if you are grown-up Kshatriya, your focus is how to handle three aspects of relative consciousness: seer, seen, and sight. If you dream, three things are there which are not real. Dream subject, that's called seer. The dream world, seen. The experiences are your sight. To have a good dream, all the three must improve. The Kshatriya movement is to improve all the three, until all the three become divine. You begin to understand one pure consciousness alone is. These three divisions don't exist. You wake up, then all the three have gone. Kshatriya movement wakes you up to realize I am that. Until then, fight. Fight with Kshatriya spirit. And discover you have amazing strength in this direction, because your soul has the potentiality to win all. The soul is essentially divine and can never be led to be absolutely destroyed. I'm extending this. In Akbar Birbal stories, a question is raised. In one situation, Birbal says to Akbar, Akbar wanted to be a god in the temples, and his ministers encouraged him to say and to bring him his statue in every temple. Birbal was not there. Birbal used to always correct things. They had kept him busy. There was always षड्यंत्र and conspiracy. When Birbal comes, and Akbar was already feeling so joyous that he is going to declare that he should be worshipped as God. He turns to Birbal and he says, look at this. We have come up with a wonderful idea. I should be adored as God. And Birbal says, it's a stupid idea. I'm joking also. And those who had conspired against him, they become very happy that now Akbar will kill him for this. But when Akbar asked why, Birbal said, "You are greater than God. Why should you put yourself in God level?" Now he becomes surprised. How am I greater than God? Birbal says, if anyone does anything negative, God has no capacity to drive him out of his kingdom. Poor God. You have the capacity to drive anyone out of your kingdom. How great are you? Don't fall for these ministers. Figure that out. With this, I'm concluding. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Hari Om. Poor God.
stop and let it go. Om Namo Bhagavan Shri Ramana. Om Namo Shiva Arunachala. Om Namo Bhagavan Shri Ramana. Om Namo Shiva Arunachala. I have no need in this world for things that come and go. I surrender to the one who holds it all.
Thank you, Nandana. While food is being served and you're enjoying it, I'd like to share with you another reading. This is from our newest book, Mystic Pathways Through the Bible. This reading follows very sweetly from Swamiji's lecture today, and it focuses on the second beatitude from Lord Jesus, beatitude on Sermon on the Mount. And that beatitude is, "Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted." For spiritual seekers of all faiths, there is a great significance in Christ's use of the term mourn in this great beatitude, the second in the Sermon on the Mount. To mourn in this profound sense does not imply a sentimental form of grieving. It does not mean to be always in a state of sadness and gloom. When you wake up in the morning and feel the beautiful breeze and see the sun shining on gardens blooming with flowers, you should not become cynical and negative, reminding yourself, "The breeze will not always be this cool and refreshing. As time passes by, the flowers will wither away. The sky will become overcast with clouds. Friends will become foes, and my very body will decay." If you start grieving over the transience of everything in this world in this sentimental manner, and continue doing so day by day, your mind will eventually become so negative that you will shut out all possibility of inner joy and peace. Certainly, this form of sentimental negativity would not be encouraged by Lord Jesus or any other saint who has known the bliss of God. What then does mourning imply? A mind that mourns in the advanced spiritual sense is one that clearly perceives limitation and illusion in all objects and circumstances in this world of time and space. This is not a sentimental feeling, but a deep-rooted understanding that the world with all its best developments cannot really please the spirit, cannot truly satisfy the thirst of the soul. It is this point that is elaborated in Christ's teachings when he said, "Foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head upon." Because of the all-pervading restlessness and insecurity in the world, the soul is unable to find true rest or satisfaction in anything of the world. This great world is imperfect, and whatever one possesses will pass away. Everything in this world is ever changing. Nothing is substantial or absolutely real. Therefore, the human quest for happiness through the objects of the world is a futile quest. Genuine and fulfilling happiness can never be found as a result of external developments. Mourning, then, implies promoting a constant understanding that a life confined to egoistic consciousness is a miserable life, a life that is limited and transient. On the other hand, a life that transcends ego and enters into universality is rich and joyous. You are like a person who once was the ruler of a great kingdom, but now finds himself confined to the desolation of a prison cell. You are intrinsically one with God, yet due to ignorance you have become identified with a body and ego personality. You must realize that being confined within these limits is not your real nature. Thus your spirit should mourn over its confinement and eagerly aspire to become free of bondage by realizing its divine identity. The term mourn also refers to developing a contrite heart. In addition to perceiving the inherent limitations of the world, an aspirant develops a keen awareness of his own limitations and imperfections, as well as a yearning to be free of them. That is the characteristic of an advancing soul. If you are practicing self-introspection, you realize that there is always so much to accomplish. There is never enough compassion, never enough generosity, humility, purity. The moment you begin to feel that you have acquired all the necessary divine qualities and no longer have any imperfection, your religious movement becomes dull and your spiritual progress obstructed. An aspirant discovers a divine restlessness to be united with the Supreme. You discover the fact that you have been somehow separated from God, from your sweet home, from the divine beloved, from the endless ocean of bliss. And until you become reunited, you cannot rest in peace. Mourning refers to the mystical concept of viraha, as presented in Bhakti Yoga. A person who develops a spiritual sensitivity realizes he has an internal restlessness that sages consider the most wonderful attainment in human life. Every human being weeps for nothing, sighs for nothing. But when you become restless for divine union, when you begin to shed tears due to the pain of separation from God, when your heart struggles like a fish that has been separated from its life-giving waters, then that is the most glorious development for a human being. It is this form of mourning that eventually draws to an aspirant the blessing of supreme comfort. Understanding the limitation of all things while possessing an increasing aspiration for cosmic consciousness is what constitutes a truly religious and lofty personality. When you mourn with wisdom, devotion, and profound humility, you will experience divine comfort. As you yearn for God realization and direct your self-effort towards that attainment, there is a response. However, the mystic path is such that the response from God does not always seem to come quickly. Sometimes you may have to travel a long distance on a rough road that does not seem to terminate until all your patience has been exhausted. Then, finally, assistance comes from the divine hand, and you realize that every step you took along the rough road was a form of blessing. If you seek divine union but still continue leaning upon the objects of the world, God waits to respond. But when you realize that all supports of the world are illusory, and you hold on to God alone as your support, then you are comforted. God begins to reveal His grace and provide you with a comfort that cannot be obtained anywhere in the world. You begin to experience the nectarine sweetness of divine presence and feel the divine hand guiding all your movements through life. You discover that you do not have to worry about anything because everything is handled very intelligently by God. Ultimately, when enlightenment is attained, you gain absolute freedom from grief, restlessness, pain, and misery, and experience a sense of eternal satisfaction. Therefore, the aim of true religion, as taught by Lord Jesus, is not to consider the whole world as an expression of pathos. Rather, it is to understand that the world is a festivity of God, and that it is your birthright to share in that festivity. The purpose of this limited life in the world of time and space is to guide you to the universal experience of the fullness of the self and the unending festivity of divine expansion. Wait, Swamiji, then put the mic on. You have to trap you with a mic.
I have a riddle for you. We are riddled with riddles. How can you turn mourning into morning? Delete the you. Okay.
Let me get the mic a bit more. I know you're all totally absorbed in this delicious, delicious dinner. But if you have a question for Swamiji, he's ready to answer them. So please raise your hand if you have a question. And Swamiji will answer the question.
Om Tat Sat, Swamiji. I was wondering if you could share the distinction, and I don't know exactly how to ask this question because I've been formulating it all day in my head, but it hasn't come out yet. So basically, my understanding of us coming to planet Earth is also for us to be in a human school. We're here for learning and evolution of our soul. So if we're coming here and our goal is self-realization, then our soul is seeking to be, this is where I struggle. Is it that our soul is already complete and our ego is seeking, hold on, I don't know. In other words, is our soul seeking to become complete, or is our soul complete and our ego is in the way? Because I've heard different schools of thought on this.
It's a big riddle in the scriptures, you see. But it requires your understanding of mind. Mind is asking this question. And first thing you must understand, the mind is limited. Mm-hmm. Therefore, the mind is already placing the earth planet as a reality. And then on that reality the mind is imagining what liberation will be. And mind is trying to envision realization in the same category as you attain various things of this world. The entire process is in kindergarten level. Simple way to understand. If you are experiencing dream, and even in dream sometimes you can become philosophical. And a dream sage tells you, become liberated. And now your mind says, where will I be then when I'm liberated? You are in dream, see? The sky you see is in dream. The mountains you see is also in dream. The heaven that appears before you is also in dream. Now your mind is asking, where will I be when I become liberated? Try to understand, when you wake up, this whole process goes away. Ashcharya, wonder. So therefore, it's perfectly normal to hold whatever idea suits you, hold that way to allow yourself to be moving with certain steadiness in life. But always keep your heart open to understand a higher level. And that higher level opens up by God's grace. But as you go on studying and get more and more satsanga, that type of understanding begins to enter your mind. That no matter how the mind is presenting the problem, it requires one little moment to move away from the mind. The example is your sleep. See, we are handling so many problems. But one problem we don't handle is, where will I be when I go to sleep? By nature, you simply let go. Liberation is more natural than nature. So therefore it is said it is always there. Just like your sleep is always there. By nature, you move away from all this. Similarly, if you prepare yourself, you have lived your daily life with good type of exertion, etc., you will have healthy sleep. If you lived your life with a yogic, integral yoga in your life, now your sleep is going to be the first and last. And that sleep is samadhi. I'm giving you a broad way to understand. Don't take it literally, it takes its own time to assimilate it. There are many layers of understanding, and with great patience and deep interest, you go on being enriched by satsanga. Watch out how you can live your daily life with greater zest, greater taste, and a greater sense of inner exploration. All are explorers.
Thank you.
Swamiji, I was in the Army for 20 years, so sometimes I naturally think of the world in a military view. I'm struggling with the concept that the meek shall inherit the earth. Can you help me out on that?
It's a simple point. Think of a house filled with lots of bitter feelings, anger, hate, etc. And think of a divine mother comes so meek. All the noises and disturbances calm down. The honey flows out of the meek mother. that inherits. Meek is the one that wins. Love wins over hatred. Humility wins over all that is nasty. But that's sunshine wins over all darkness. Biggest fight in your life is resolved not under tension, but under humility. What happens within you, same applies with the whole society. Any victory attained on the basis of animal might and strength, that is not a real victory. One country will be peaceful, another country is creating its own bombs. And you go on handling that. I'm just joking, but the point is that real resolution to human problem is not in the military aspect of resources, but divine military. Allow love to conquer hate. Allow humility to conquer your ego. Allow the negativity move away and allow the positive resources in your heart that are instinctive, spiritual potential. Goodness is potential. Who would like to be good? Who would like to have a generous heart? Who would be like to be a source of love? It is that which wins. For modern example, think of the strength of Mahatma Gandhi. He couldn't match up with any soldier. And yet, his strength dominated the entire India, and the whole world came under the influence. And where there was no need for violence, ahimsa. So try to understand that and bring to your understanding. But at the same time, that doesn't mean the practical reality is being ignored. From practical point of view, soldiers must be there. They must save the country from attacks. But they should not stay in that level. They must outgrow. Externally, they can be doing their dharma as soldiers. Inwardly, they must come to realize God is working through them. And do not build up that type of picture of life that it is always a battle and might is the right. Simple point, love wins over hate. As you go on living your life, whom do you house in your heart? Hate with two teeth? Or love that oozes out nectar? Just simple question. And what is true for you is true for all.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to request Ashram.
I didn't
Ashwin.
see him before.
He was busy enjoying the dinner.
Pranam Gurudev.
Yeah.
Om Tat Sat. So I can think of no better segue from the story of Surasa to a health dialogue. I'm going to talk to you this evening about dental hygiene. And it's very important. It's very important. So in my practice, because a lot of my work is with individuals who are living beyond cancer diagnosis, oftentimes treatments and cancer itself builds up toxins inside the body that affect taste, that contribute to very dry mouth, that can also really be deleterious to the dental hygiene. So we use a lot of holistic methods in order to address that. And first and foremost, the basics, brushing the teeth at least twice a day, and also limiting sweets, intake of sweets. The only sweet that is actually good for dental hygiene is mangoes. because mangoes encourage you to floss. So mangoes are okay in moderation. I find myself flossing more during mango season because so flossing is also very, very good, and daily is ideal. And then the third point is there are many Ayurvedic techniques that we can use to detoxify. So there's one Ayurvedic technique known as oil pulling. Now think of the same process whereby you would take a medication and put it under the tongue, and that rich blood supply is used to absorb that medication. Well, oil pulling is a detoxification method that applies the same principle in reverse. So anytime there's taste change, dry mouth, or any influence of inflammation or toxicity inside the oral cavity, oil pulling technique includes something like coconut oil. You can use coconut oil, maybe 1.5 teaspoons, and swishing that vigorously in the mouth. It's a teeth whitening technique. If you look at, if you do a Google search for oil pulling, there'll be an article by Gwyneth Paltrow who will describe how her beautiful smile is largely because of a daily practice of oil pulling. So it's a very natural teeth whitening process, as well as a way of taking those toxins and removing them from the oral mucosa. And because a lot of the toxins that accumulate in the context of chemotherapy, they don't dissolve in water, they dissolve in fat. And so that's why a fat medium is used in order to reverse that gradient, the concentration gradient, and pull those toxins out. That's why it's called an oil pulling technique. And this is how we can use the wisdom of ancient Ayurveda and yoga towards better health. So eating sweet foods in moderation, brushing the teeth regularly, flossing regularly, and using Ayurvedic techniques like oil pulling are very good in order to maintain dental hygiene. And lastly, contributing to good bacteria inside the digestive tract. What ends up happening is that whenever there's an infection in the mouth, it's as if a toxin is affecting the very beginning, the very origin of a stream or a river, then that toxin is going to flow through the entire river or stream. Same thing when it comes to oral hygiene, is that if there is a bacteria that is in the oral mucosa that actually is not supposed to be there, that negative bacteria can impact the entirety of the digestive tract. So making sure that using good the so-called probiotic-rich foods, that is yogurt and other probiotic foods, these cultured foods that are very healthy to maintain the good bacteria concentration inside the digestive tract and also inside the mouth. So all of these techniques can be used for good dental hygiene. More my next time. Pranam Swami.
Thanks for your dainty talk.
It's kind of thick, it's not really loose. How do you do it for the night? You have to warm it up or something?
So the question is that coconut oil is very viscous and dense and sometimes cannot be easily swished in the mouth. What you'll notice is that as soon as you develop this practice, it's also an exercise for the cheeks and the tongue. So that exercise in and of itself helps bring that viscosity. In other words, swishing it out in your mouth increases the temperature in that area, which actually turns the solid coconut oil into more of a liquid form. So the other important point is that when you're finished with your oil pulling practice, spit it out. Just a delicate point, but you can use oil pulling, and you can use other oils too. It doesn't have to be necessarily coconut oil. There are many recipes that also call for sesame oil or almond oil to be used. So there are many different techniques, but coconut oil being one of the most widely utilized in this way. It also has a very moisturizing effect, perhaps more so than other oils. So that moisturization effect is also very important for some people who have dryness in the mouth. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Ashwin. He made us laugh heartily with a perfectly straight face. But such wisdom. Ashwin has been a disciple of Swamiji since before he was born. So now he brings devotion and all the wisdom of his training as a doctor. Swamiji, let me thank the people who have contributed to the dinner tonight.
Don't think about it. Thank you.
We'd like to thank Sri Suman and Sri Sumati Devi for their very creative salad that they made for us with great love tonight. And we thank Rajneesh for the what looked like, and I'm yet to taste it, the extraordinary jackfruit sabji and the rice pulao. So we thank him. And we thank Malini and her family for the raita. And we thank Vasudeva for the dessert. Did I get the whole meal? I think so. Yeah, the salad from Sri Suman and Sumati Devi. Yeah. Just one quick reminder. Mangoes, the excellent food, the excellent sugar, that's the only one that's good for the mouth. Remember to help yourselves to any mangoes that you find when you're enjoying the grounds or on your way out. Please help yourself. We're getting close to the end of our season, so let's enjoy them. We're happy when we see you taking bags of mangoes home. Please feel free to do that. And remember, our next major festivity will be in July 22nd, Sunday at 5 p.m. We'll be celebrating Guru Purnima, and hopefully we will all be together here, and everyone else will come from many places in the country and in the world, and we'll all celebrate Swamiji's presence in our lives. That's July 22nd, Sunday at 5 p.m. And Swamiji will conclude with prayer, and then we'll come for Kumkum.
Prayer for health, long life, peace, prosperity, and enlightenment for all of you. Peace, harmony, and enlightenment for all. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Vabandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om.